Welcome, Midnight Readers, to our first official reading. Are you excited? So am I. I have a question. How many of you find yourself actually reading at midnight? Are you part of the Midnight Readers Club? My lifestyle, that's my only opportunity to read, so I take it. How about you? When do you actually read? Anyway, regardless, I hope you enjoy this whatever time you're listening at and wherever you may be. Tonight, we are delving into my best friend's friend. Go ahead and grab your coffee or tea, whatever your choice may be, and get comfy. We're about to jump into a modern-day romance that explores tropes of past and present colliding and friends to lovers. You ready? Let's go.
My Best Friend's Friend, Chapter 1. I stared at my phone as it vibrated across my desk. Why was Andy calling again? I had just spoken to him on my lunch break, less than an hour ago. Andy had been my neighbor growing up, and has since become my roommate. My parents moved out of state a year ago, leaving me the house to myself. Naturally, being my best friend and spending the majority of his time at my house anyway, we agreed that it just made sense for Andy to move in. Hey, everything okay? I asked, answering my phone. I actually just got off the phone with Carter. He called to give me a heads up that one of his old frat buddies will be coming to town to stay with him for the entire week of the gala. As interesting as that sounds, can this wait till I get home? I only have an hour left here, and then my vacation officially begins. You will then literally have me for the next 9 days, I reminded him. Yeah, sure, it's just... never mind. You're right. It's better if I wait to tell you when you get home. See you when you get here. Bye, he said, hanging up before I could ask what he had meant. The last hour at work went painfully slow, as I was dying of curiosity. What had Andy felt was so urgent that he should interrupt me at work? I could only hope it wasn't an issue with the gala, as Andy and I, as well as his older brother Carter, were on the planning committee. 9 of us had spent the last few months planning, organizing, and ensuring everything would be both elegant and flawless. The gala was a large-scale formal event held once every few years for the university alumni, sponsors, and inspirational members of the community. For the alumni, this event served as a reunion of sorts. For the sponsors, their businesses got promoted as they got thanked for their contributions. The inspirational members of the community received recognition, which in turn brought recognition to the university for simply being associated with them. The gala was known best for its silent art auction, live music, dancing, catered food, and socializing opportunities. Just thinking about all the hours of work we had invested in it makes me tired. Andy's point of view. Shelly's gonna freak out when she gets home and I tell her what I was attempting to on the phone earlier. I have to do some damage control, and quick. Damn. Looks like damage control is gonna have to wait for a few minutes. Fishing my ringing phone out of the pocket, I saw my buddy Theo's name on the screen. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, do you have a minute to talk? I'm just not in a good place right now. Theo had moved back home to help care for his dad, whose declining health had become too much for his mom to deal with on her own. Theo was able to do so as he owned his own business and had been in the process of closing down the physical office to transition into a solely online presence. Something must have happened on his last trip out of town. It was supposed to be a quick and easy in and out. He had a staff meeting scheduled for all the employees that were transitioning to the online platform to work out any last-minute issues or questions. And then he was turning in the keys to the office. It was literally a 2-day trip. Sure, what's going on? My mom flew my brother in when I was out of town, and they moved my dad into assisted living. Every time my mom suggested it, I had told her no. That's why I rearranged my entire life and moved back, so this wouldn't happen. I told her what those places are like. They're dirty, and the staff are cold and neglectful. He's gonna go downhill quicker there. Man, I'm so sorry. Anything I can do to help? Yeah, help keep me distracted. My brother and I have been at each other's throats since I got back. I was already irate, but learning this whole thing was pre-planned has pushed me over the top, and it's taking everything in me not to hurt him right now. Apparently they bought his plane ticket weeks ago, when they first learned that I'd have to go out of town one last time. To make matters worse, I can't even go to see my dad right now. You've got to be kidding. Why not? Because the facility requires a 7-day adjustment period for new patients, where outside visitors are not permitted. I've never heard of a facility doing anything like that before. I don't even think it's legal. It's total crap. Damn, sorry, man. That's messed up. You know, if you need to get out of the house for a few days, I'm pretty sure Shelly would be fine with you staying with us. I've been meaning for you two to meet anyway. I don't know. I'm not sure how good of company I'd be right now. And then it hit me. Theo could help with the damage control. Actually, it'd be doing us a favor as well. After going around in circles, trying to get him to agree for close to 30 minutes, I finally succeeded, just as Shelley walked in. "Hey, Theo? Shelley just got home. Let me give you a call back in a little bit." My Best Friend's Friend, Chapter 2. I walked in to find Andy getting off the phone with a strange expression on his face. "Okay, what the heck is going on?" I blurted out, unable to take it anymore. "You better sit down. You're not going to like this." I rolled my eyes as I plopped down on the couch. "Okay, I'm sitting. Spit it out." As he came and sat down next to me, the look on his face told me I better brace myself. "You know how I was telling you that Carter's old frat brother's coming to town, and he's going to stay with him for the week of the gala?" "Yes." "Well, it turns out it's Logan." I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. "Breathe," Andy teased. "Wait, like Logan? As in the only guy I'd ever fallen head over heels for? Just for him to completely shatter not only my heart, but my trust in men?" Yeah, that's the one. But it might not be that bad." "Do you really believe that? This is the guy that made me fall for him while pretending to feel the same, before moving away and keeping in touch regularly for a year, as if there were hope for a future for us. Do I need to remind you that he had called me to make plans to come out to see me just hours before leaving me that voicemail? You know, the one that had said that he had a girlfriend and she found out about me, so as to never contact him again? Like I was the one who had done something wrong? You're telling me coming face to face with that lying, cheating, manipulative jerk while having to maintain a positive and professional demeanor at the gala might not be that bad?" I questioned. I felt bad for how harshly that had come out. I knew it wasn't Andy's fault, but in my defense, I'd been caught completely off guard, which had caused a whirlwind of old emotions to stir within me. "I'm sorry," I whispered before he could respond. Wrapping his arm around me, Andy gave me a sideways look. "Are you ready to listen now?" I nodded. "Remember my friend Theo that I told you I wanted you to meet? Well, he's going through some stuff right now and needs a place to stay for a few days. I told him about your little predicament, and after a bit of persuasion, he's agreed to come stay here and help out." I raised my brow sarcastically. "And how exactly is he gonna help out?" "Well, for starters, he'll be your date for the gala. He's agreed to pretend to be head over heels for you and talk you up not only when in front of Logan, but to anyone he chats with at the event." "That's sweet, but why would I go with him, a complete stranger, rather than getting my own date?" "Because he's now familiar with the situation, knows what a prick Logan is, and wants to help. Did I mention? He's one of the sponsors, so he's already going to be attending the gala. Come on. You'd be helping each other out." I sighed. I really didn't see a downside to having an additional wingman for the evening. "Fine. As long as you promise you two will do your best to keep Logan away from me." "Yes, consider it done. This is going to be awesome. He'll be here tomorrow, so you two better plan on using the next 2 days to get to know each other as well as possible." "So excited," I said teasingly. "I'll call Theo and let him know it's on." "Okay, I'm going to go take a shower. Then we better head to the store and stock up for the week." "Sounds good. I'll be ready when you are." As I climbed in the shower, a wave of worry washed over me. What was this Theo guy like? Andy had said he was going through some stuff and needed a place to stay. That didn't sound too promising. Did he have issues? Was he currently homeless? I mean, I'm all for helping people out and normally wouldn't care about those things, but Andy had already signed him up to pose as my date, which was problematic as whoever I showed up with needed to be as close to perfect as possible in order to show Logan up. Something's not adding up, though. Andy said he was one of the sponsors that'd be recognized at the event. If he was a sponsor, he clearly had enough money for a hotel, right? Why was he going to be staying here? I hurried up and finished my shower. I had some questions for Andy. I walked out just in time to hear him getting off the phone. He told whoever it was to hang in there. I assumed it was Theo. "Hey, so I was thinking about it, and I have some questions about Theo," I announced, coming to stand beside Andy. "Okay," he replied, raising a brow. "You said he's going through some stuff and needs a place to stay. Is that code for has issues and is homeless?" Andy busted out laughing. "No, Theo is not a homeless person with issues. Don't worry, you'll like him." "I hope so. What is the stuff he's going through?" "Family issues, but it's probably better if we let him explain, if he decides he wants to share that information." "Okay, fair enough. Just tell me this. It doesn't have to do with a wife or kids or anything like that, right?" Right, he reassured me, patting me on the back. Come on, time to go shopping, he continued, pulling me towards the door. I spent the majority of the night tossing and turning, nervous what the next few days would bring. As a result, I slept in later than usual, and awoke to the doorbell ringing, followed by warm greetings and laughter. Curious, I hurried and got ready for the day. As I entered the kitchen, Andy was preparing food as his friend was leaning on the bar with his back to me. Morning, I said, entering the room. Oh good, you're up. Shelley, I'd like you to meet Theo. As he turned around, and our eyes met for the first time, my breath caught. I didn't know what I had been expecting, but he was definitely not it. He was tall, handsome, and had a cool demeanor. He was actually quite similar to Logan in those ways. Pleasure, he said, shaking my hand. Nice to meet you too, I said with a smile. Food's ready, but there are a couple last-minute calls I have to make for the gala. Shouldn't take more than 30 minutes or so. You two should use this time to start to get to know each other. Assuming you actually want to pull this off, Andy said with a wink before disappearing out of the kitchen. Theo and I sat down at the table. There was an awkward silence as we began to eat. Finally, Theo broke that silence. So, Andy cut me up on everything that's going on with the gala and that guy. I just want you to know I think he sounds like a total ass, and I'm on board for whatever you need me to do. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Andy informed me about your situation as well. Well, not so much about your situation, just that you have one. If you need anything from me, I'm happy to help as well, I reassured him. Thanks, I appreciate you letting me stay here. We ended up talking for close to an hour before realizing Andy still hadn't returned. Another 20 minutes had gone by when we decided we had better go find him and make sure everything was all right. My Best Friend's Friend, Chapter 3. We found Andy in his room wrapping up a conversation. His tone of voice made it sound as though he were on a personal call, rather than one regarding the gala. What's up? That was a long 30 minutes, I teased as he hung up. Yeah, sorry. Carter called to tell me that he came home to discover my dad's super sick. My mom seems to be coming down with it too, Andy explained. Oh no, do they need anything? No, Carter's taking care of them, but... He hesitated and gave me a weird look. But what? I questioned. But he's worried that if they don't make a speedy recovery, it might affect his plans for next week. Just then, Theo's phone rang. Sorry, I need to get this, he said, stepping out into the hall. Looking back at Andy, I cocked my head to the side. I don't follow. How would their being sick affect his plans for the week? Well, he can't have Logan stay there if they're super sick. Okay. So Carter can help him find a hotel then. What's the problem? I snarked as Theo entered, looking upset. What's up, man? Andy asked. My mom and brother want to talk to me. They're out of their minds if they think that they can guilt me into going over there just so they can double team me, he was saying when I spoke up. You should invite them over here then. What? Andy and Theo questioned simultaneously. Well, I'm guessing they won't leave you alone until you agree to talk to them. So if you invite them over here for dinner, maybe tomorrow, they won't be able to double team you. Andy and I can make sure that you're never alone with them. And I don't mind speaking up from time to time, if that's something you'd want me to do if necessary. Yeah, I must say, Shelley is the best when in a debate, and she has excellent secret weapon to have on your side, just in case. Andy chimed in. I would need to know the details of what's going on first, though. It's totally your call, of course. Theo stared at me for a moment before turning and heading out into the hall. I could only hope that I was reading the signals right as I followed him out. This would be incredibly embarrassing if I was wrong, and he had been trying to get some space. Upon entering the living room, he sat down on the couch and looked as though he were waiting for me to join him. As I sat down with him, he told me everything that had been going on. I couldn't help but feel bad for him. As if it weren't hard enough that his dad's condition was terminal, his mom and brother had not only betrayed his trust, but had taken away some of the precious time he had left to spend with his father. We sat there talking for another couple of hours, before realizing it was just about dinner time. That was the second time that time had seemed to fly by when we were talking. There was just something about him that made me comfortable, and our conversations just seemed to flow effortlessly. He eventually agreed to invite them for dinner the following night, and I was prepared to be there by his side, to take them on, if need be. Theo stepped out to call his mom back, while Andy and I started to prepare dinner. The mood was lighter the remainder of the evening. In fact, we actually had a pretty good night. It almost felt magical. We inflated the pool floats and set up a movie projector. The warm summer air danced around us as we floated in the heated pool, sipping on our drinks and joking around while watching the movie. It felt like we had all been friends forever, and the banter was comical, in a good way. It was a nice break from the stressful atmosphere from earlier in the day. At one point, when it had gotten quiet, I glanced over to see what was up, only to discover Theo staring at me. He played it off well, so I can't say for certain if it had actually happened or if it had been in my head. But one thing I could say for certain was that he had a smile to die for. The next morning, the Theo who sat down for breakfast was not like the cool, fun Theo from the night before. It was obvious he was stressed, and it was making him moody. So Andy and I made it our mission to keep him distracted until dinner. And it was working. That was, until his mom called to say that they were on their way. Dinner was tense, to say the least. But everyone's trying their best to remain civil. That was, until Theo's mom's little outburst. I just don't understand why you insist on fighting with me like this. You're making everything so much harder on everyone. And why? Just because you didn't get your way? Can't you see my way is better for everyone, including you? Now that your father won't be taking up so much of your time, you can go back to running your business and spending your free time however you like. You really don't get it, do you? I chose to alter my business and move back because I wanted to spend as much time with him as I could, before I can't any longer. You've taken that away from me. He looked like he was about to continue when, out of nowhere, he shoved his chair back and stormed out onto the back patio. I immediately turned my attention to his mom, who started going on about how she just doesn't understand him. If I may, I know you were doing what you believed was best for not only you, but Theo as well. I get that putting your husband in the facility where he can get around-the-clock care takes some of the burden and stress off of you knowing he's getting what he needs, but where you were trying to give Theo his freedom back, he saw it as you taking away some of the valuable last bits of time he had left with his dad. You see, he didn't see caring for him as a burden. Theo wanted to be there spending every last moment with him, and had gone to great lengths to rearrange his life to do so. So where you thought you were helping your son, he felt like you were hurting him, if that makes sense. I attempted to explain. She stared at me, closely resembling a fish out of water, with her mouth opening and then closing again without any words coming out. Finally, she spoke. I was just trying to be a good mom and make the hard decision so he wouldn't have to, and end up feeling guilty. I realize now that we probably should have spoken to Theo first. I honestly had no bad intentions, but see the mess that I've made. Please tell Theo I'm sorry, she said, standing to leave. Theo's brother, who hadn't uttered a single word throughout dinner, finally spoke. Thanks for hosting this dinner. Theo's lucky to have you. Hope he's smart enough to realize that. If not, I might have to snatch you up next time I see you. My jaw dropped as he winked before hurrying to catch up with his mom, who was now out the front door. I looked at Andy, who mouthed, "Creeper," before nodding towards the back door. He wanted me to go talk to Theo. He's your friend. You should go, I whispered. I was confused when Andy draped his arms around my shoulders and started walking with me towards the back door. Maybe he wanted us both to talk to Theo? Andy opened the door, shoved me out, and shut the door behind me. What a jerk! He totally ambushed me. As Theo looked up at me surprised, I played it cool, like I had come out on my own accord. Hey, you okay? I asked. I heard what you said in there, he replied, nodding towards the open window. I'm sorry. I know I should have stayed out of it, I started to say, feeling embarrassed when he cut me off. Thank you. You didn't have to, but I'm glad you did. She wasn't hearing me. No matter how many times I said it, her apology doesn't fix anything, or get me the time back with my dad, but at least she understands now. I couldn't help but smile. What? He questioned. Nothing, I replied, still smiling. You can't look at me like that and not tell me what you're thinking, he insisted. Okay, fine. I was just thinking that I'm glad my date for the gala is a good guy, not like the jerks I typically manage to get stuck with. A little smile tugged at the corners of his mouth as he studied my face. Can I hug you? He asked, almost sounding shy. If I'm being honest, it was adorable that this handsome, confident guy had the side to him. Of course. You never have to ask to hug me, I replied playfully. A strange sensation washed over me, being in his firm embrace. Not only did I feel safe, but dare I say, it felt like it was the perfect fit. Snap out of it. This guy's pretty much a stranger, I had to remind myself. But why didn't it feel that way? Chapter 4. My best friend's friend. As we walked back in, We were surprised by Andy's raised voice. He appeared to be having a heated phone conversation. I just don't think that's going to work. Yes, I understand you're out of options. Fine, but you owe us. Andy turned to face us, looking shocked that we were standing there. He seemed to be avoiding looking at me. This was nothing like the Andy that I knew. Okay, what's up? I questioned, walking over and placing my hand on his shoulder. When he reached up and silently placed his hand on mine, I knew instantly it was something I wasn't going to like. What's going on? I urged again. I'm sorry, Shelley. I really tried, but Carter's in a jam, he said while still looking anywhere but at me. Andy, just say it. What's going on? Carter's now sick too. All the hotels are booked, and Logan arrives tomorrow afternoon. Carter has asked us to let him stay here. No! I blurted out. Shelley, Carter already told him he could stay here. I'm sorry. I know it's not ideal, but on the bright side, you have the both of us to help keep him away from you, Andy said in an attempt to make light of the situation. All the emotions I had managed to push down came crashing back with a vengeance. I can't believe this, I blurted out before rushing out of the room. I had made it halfway down the hall when a firm hand landed on my shoulder, stopping me dead in my tracks. I spun around, crashing into Theo's chest. I looked up at him wide-eyed as he wrapped his arms around me. I promise you, it's going to be okay. Andy and I have your back. Coming from a guy's perspective, the best thing you can do to give him hell is make sure you look good, like you always seem to do, and act like his presence doesn't faze you whatsoever. Just act like you're having a blast and couldn't care less if he's here. Okay, I'll try my best, I sighed. Theo was a sweetheart, and I was glad he was here to have my back. Needless to say, I got very little sleep that night. As I got up and got ready for the day, I was thankful that I looked nothing like I felt. I was feeling a mixture of tiredness and nervousness. The guys took me down to get my favorite smoothies by the beach for lunch. As we cruised with the windows down and music up, my worries seemed to melt away. Come here, Theo said, holding his phone up for a selfie. We snapped a second one just as Andy returned with the smoothies. Come get in this one, Theo said, nodding at Andy. They all came out super cute. Can you send them to me? I asked. Sure, he replied, handing me his phone, which was set to input a new contact. I hate to be a downer, but we better start heading back, Andy said, looking at his watch. Once back at the house, Andy started up the grill, as Theo brought out a cooler full of drinks on ice. Hey, remember what I told you last night? Why don't you go get changed, and then get into the pool? Theo whispered. I nodded. I knew what he was telling me. I headed in to get dolled up. I put on my favorite bikini and cover-up, put my hair up in a sexy messy bun, with loose strands flowing down just past my shoulders, grabbed some matching sunglasses, and headed back out. Very nice, Theo said, giving me a wink as I went to lay my towel out on a nearby chair. And then went over to Andy. Hey, need help with anything? He looked up from the grill with a smirk. Don't you look nice? Shut up, I replied playfully. Actually, yeah, can you go grab the bottle of seasoning I forgot on the kitchen counter? Sure, I'll be right back, I said, heading in. Just as I had made my way into the kitchen, the doorbell rang. My heart sank, and a wave of nervousness crashed over me as I headed towards the door. The instant I opened it, our eyes locked. There stood Logan, looking handsome as ever. But something seemed different about him as he smiled down at me. I was completely caught off guard when he leaned down to hug me. Even with me standing up a step higher than him, he still towered over me at 6'5". That's okay. You don't have to hug me back. I get it. It's really good to see you, though. You look great. Thanks, I replied, somewhat stunned. Come on, the guys are grilling in the back. I continued, leading the way to the backyard. The guys? He questioned. Yeah, Andy and Theo, I clarified. Oh, I was under the impression that it was just going to be us three, but that's cool. The more the merrier, I guess. I wasn't sure how to respond to that, so I remained quiet as we made our way out to the backyard. Look what I found, I said, calling out to Andy. Ouch, Logan said, shooting me a sideways look before going over to Andy. Good to see you, man, I heard him saying to Andy as I made my way back inside to grab the seasoning. The moment I set foot back outside, I could feel Theo's gaze on me as I walked over and handed Andy the seasoning. I'm going to go grab my bags and throw my swim trunks on, Logan announced, heading back towards the house. Here, I'll help you grab your stuff, Theo said, following him out. I raised a brow questioningly at Andy, who shrugged in return. Theo returned when Logan went to go change. "Come get in the pool with me," he said, heading over to the side. "I don't know." "Come on, why not?" Theo questioned, just as Logan returned. "Yeah, why not?" Logan chimed in. I glanced over to respond, but no words came out, as I couldn't stop my eyes from trailing down his chiseled abs. Water splashing against my back broke me from my trance. I turned to Theo as he blurted out, "Hey!" My eyes were now glued to him, as he stood there now shirtless and wet. He must have taken off his shirt and hopped in when my back was turned. I had never met anyone whose physique came anywhere close to Logan's. Until now. Oh shit! Why was I flying backwards towards the pool? Luckily, I was able to suck in a breath before I hit the water. As I went under, my sunglasses flew off and began to sink. Annoyed, I swam further down to grab them before heading back to the surface. Just as I was about to make it to the surface, I was shocked when I was yanked up by big hands. "Shit, Shelly, are you okay? I'm so sorry, I was just playing." I looked at Logan's panic-stricken face, shocked. "Yeah, I'm fine. I just had to grab my sunglasses before they sank. But I don't appreciate being pushed in." "I'm really sorry. How can I make it up to you?" he was asking when Theo made it over, gently spinning me towards him. "Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm totally fine," I replied. "Good," he said, giving me a little squeeze. "All good over there?" Andy called out. "Yep, super," I said, now feeling both annoyed and embarrassed that everyone was making such a big deal out of it. "So, how do you two know each other?" Logan asked, nodding towards Theo. "Through Andy," I replied. I knew he was fishing for info on whether or not we were just friends, but I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of answering that. "Oh, that's cool. So are you in town for the gala?" Logan asked Theo. "No, actually, I recently moved back to town," he responded. "Oh, I just assumed since you were staying here, you were from out of town. Sorry," Logan was saying when I couldn't bite my tongue. "Well, you know what they say about assuming. Don't want to make an ass out of yourself," I said, swimming over towards the stairs. "I don't think I'm currently on her good side." "Which is fair," Logan said to Theo. "I better go work on fixing that." He continued swimming over towards me. "Hey, I know you probably hate me, and you have every right to, but I just want to put it out there that I'm really sorry about how everything went down. I was young and stupid." I had to cut him off right then and there. I didn't want to hear excuses. "Logan, that was 5 years ago. Let's leave the past in the past. It's all good," I said, remembering the advice Theo had given me about acting like I didn't care. Logan looked at me shocked. "Okay, so we're good then?" he questioned. "Good is something that needs to be earned," I replied with a smirk. I could see Theo staring at me from behind Logan. "Dinner's ready," Andy called out. Logan remained silently staring at me a moment longer as Theo hopped out of the pool to grab a towel. "Okay, well, I guess I better start working on it then," Logan mumbled inwardly with a bit of a sheepish smile. I hate how he managed to look both innocent and handsome in that moment. We were both surprised when Theo walked up with my towel in hand and held it open for me. I climbed out, and he wrapped it around me. Logan swam under the water to the other side of the pool, climbing out there to grab his towel. Dinner went better than expected, and the conversation just seemed to flow. Andy and Logan asked questions about where he had been and what he had been up to. Theo chimed in here and there. Whenever Logan asked a question directed at me, Andy jumped in, answering before I had the chance. However, whenever Theo would ask me something, everyone would quietly await my response. After dinner, I announced I was going to turn in for the night. It had been a long day, and I needed a shower and some rest. I really just needed to get away from everyone so I could wrap my head around everything that had transpired and gather my thoughts.
Alright, Midnight Readers, that is a wrap for today. Stay tuned for next time to hear more of My Best Friend's Friend. Sweet dreams.